So this Thursday, August 20th, 2026, we say goodbye to the great Bobby Williams. Bobby Red's Sylford Williams. He'll be departing. That is final goodbye we are saying to him this Thursday. So those of you who knew Bobby, Bobby wasn't a thief in police. Bobby wasn't a coke robber. Bobby never used to thief coke and give it to anyone to hide. He wasn't a thief. He wasn't a criminal police because Bobby was an honest and ethical police officer working with me. My people, today, I am not coming before you with politics. I am not coming before you with controversy. I am not coming before you looking for an argument. Today I'm asking you for something from the heart. This Thursday, August 20th, 2026, at 11 in the morning, 11 a.m., 11 o'clock, we will gather at the Life Center, Tabernacle Church of Prophecy, Garden Pen, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, to say our final earthly goodbye to Sylford Bobby Reds Williams. And I am asking you, please come. Bobby was a good police officer. Bobby wasn't a thief. He wasn't a robber. Not, as you have seen, police officers who have worked at Dunspear being killed, they spread out in the road because they were thief and involved in drug dealing and stuff like that. Not Bobby. Bobby wasn't a druggist, a thief in police, mixing police work and criminality. He was a police officer. If Bobby Reds ever help you, come. Have you ever listened to a man 2 days after Bobby passed away that he called and said that we had saved his life? If you have ever heard about his service, come. If you respect men and women who gave part of their lives to Jamaica, come. If you believe friendship, loyalty, sacrifice, and public service still mean something, come. Because there are some moments in life that cannot be replayed. You can watch a movie tomorrow. You can make a telephone call next week. You can send a message next month. But there is only one final farewell. And when that earth leaves that church on Thursday, that moment will never come again. Bobby Reds was more than somebody I work with. That was my partner. That was my brother. That was my friend. There were places we went together, challenges we faced together, dangers we confronted together, and memories we created that I will carry until my own last days. And now the time has come when I cannot walk beside him anymore. So I'm asking Kingston 11, Kingston 13, Kingston 20, and especially the people whose communities benefited from his service. So I'm asking Jamaica, walk with Bobby Reds one final time. Thursday, August 20th, 11 a.m. Life Center, Tabernacle, Church of God of Prophecy. Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police Channel. To our loyal viewers, subscribers, and Patreon members. At the channel, we are a group of law-abiding citizens who believe in the rule of law and respect the rights of every citizen, but not the ones who do not subscribe to such behavior. We do believe in and support preemptive strikes because they save lives. This is a logical conclusion because preemptive strikes save lives and prevent the further loss of lives. We are all about saving lives at this channel. We at the channel aid criminals with a passion and do not want them over here. We do not want your views, your subscriptions, your likes, or your comments. Please go elsewhere where the red carpet is waiting for you. Over here, we want you to go to prison or the departure lounge at Madden. Moving on to today's video. Garden Pen, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Those of you who know Garden Pen, you can go through Ensom City, or you can go through Elton Park. We used to live in the same community of Elton Park, Bobby Reds and I. Both of us, me and Bobby, for years. Come and help us say goodbye. Bobby Reds, you serve. Bobby Reds, you mattered. Bobby Reds, you will not be forgotten. My Jamaican Young Police family, Jamaicans at home, Jamaicans overseas, members and former members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, district constables like Simon Esten, Benji, Preacher, and you have Glasses Thompson, P.V. Thompson, the great Ivan O. Thompson, who's the man, we have never talked about him, but we have to do a special about him. Ivan O. Thompson is the one who was responsible for Bobby for putting us together when I was transferred from St. Elizabeth to Hornsby. From the very first day I went on the team, Bobby and I just clicked. Community members, friends, relatives, and anybody listening to the sound of my voice. There are certain videos that are difficult to make, and this is one of them. Because I can talk about crime, I can talk about policing, I can debate politics, I can analyze corruption, I can talk about Jamaica's problem all night. But when you have to speak about putting somebody you love in the ground, words suddenly become different and difficult. The last time I've been through anything like this was when my mom passed. Although Bobby wasn't there physically, he was there, you know. But today, I am speaking to you about my former partner and friend, Sylford Bobby Reds Williams. And on Thursday, August 20th, 2026, we are going to say goodbye. I hope I'll see you there. The funeral service will be begin at 11 a.m. at Life Center Tabernacle Church of God of Prophecy, Garden Pen, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. I want to make a personal plea to you. If you are able to attend, please come. Thursday, you can watch a movie, you can have a date another day, but this is the only time that you can say farewell to him. Bobby was a great police officer, a legend in his own rights. Not because there is going to be a camera there, not because anybody is looking for recognition, not because attending a funeral makes somebody more important than somebody else. Come, because every once in a while a community should stop what it is doing and acknowledge a person who gave something of himself to others. And Bobby Reds gave. This is about more than a funeral. A funeral is one day, a life is decades, a funeral lasts a few hours, but the influence of somebody's life can last generations. When you see a casket, you are seeing the end of the physical journey. You are not seeing all the mornings that person woke up and went to work. You are not seeing the nights they sacrificed. You are not seeing the people they helped. You are not seeing the difficult decisions. You are not seeing the times they were tired but continue anyway. You are not seeing the friendships. You are not seeing the disagreements that were eventually forgiven. You are not seeing the jokes. You are not seeing the laughter. You are not seeing the danger. You are not seeing the sacrifices. You are seeing one final chapter. And that is why I don't want Thursday simply to become another funeral. I want Thursday to become a statement of gratitude. A statement that says, we remember. We remember Bobby Reds. Because one of the saddest things that can happen to a person who spent years serving others is for our society to benefit from that service and then forget the servant. I refuse to forget Bobby Reds. I refuse to forget Sylford, Bobby Reds Williams. And I hope Jamaica and the Jamaica Constabulary Force will never forget him either. That was my partner. Some people know Bobby Reds as a retired district constable. Some know him through his family. Some know him from the community. Some may recognize his face. Some of you may have never met him, but I knew him differently. I knew him as my partner. When you work closely beside another man for years, particularly in policing, that word partner means something different. Your partner is not simply somebody whose name appears beside yours on a roster. A real partner becomes somebody whose judgment you learn, whose habits you understand, whose weaknesses you recognize, whose strengths you depend upon. And sometimes, in dangerous environments, your partner becomes the person you trust when you don't have the luxury of calling somebody else. There are friendships created over dinner. There are friendships created at school. There are friendships created in church. And there are friendships created while two people are doing difficult work together. Those relationships carry a different weight. Bobby Reds and I share that kind of relationship. For years, we worked together in and around one of Jamaica's challenging policing environments. There were communities where our names became known. There were people who came to trust us, even to this day. There were residents who knew that when we showed up, we were there to work. That history means something to me. And when Bobby Reds died, I didn't simply lose anybody whose number was in an old telephone book. I lost a part of my history. Think about that. When somebody who knew the younger version of you dies, they take memories with them that nobody else on this earth possesses in quite the same way. They remember conversations nobody recorded. They remember incidents nobody photographed. They remember the person you were before life changed you. They remember the struggles. They remember the dreams. They remember the mistakes. They remember the victories. And suddenly, one day they are gone. That is what death does. It closes a library without warning. And you realize there were stories inside that library you thought you would always have another day to hear. This Thursday matters. That is why I'm asking people to understand why Thursday, August 20th, 2026, at 11 a.m. matters. There will never be another August 20th, 2026 funeral for Bobby Reds. There will never be another opportunity to stand together while his earthly remains make that final journey. And somebody watching me right now may be thinking, Porter, I didn't know him personally. Come anyway. If your circumstances allow it, and if you're a fan of the Jamaica Young Police Channel, Bobby Reds is a part of my journey as a police officer. He wasn't a thief. He wasn't one of those bad thief in police. As most people say, most bad police, they are always thieves. But we weren't. Those of you who understand what I mean by bad police, I can tell you. And there's another one here, Ruben Conter. Wasn't a thief either. Norman Sticky Hamilton too. wasn't a thief. When I speak from memory and speak from what I have known as a fact. So maybe you lost a father. Perhaps you know what it means to lose somebody. Maybe you lost your mother. Maybe you bury a brother. Maybe you bury your wife. Maybe you lost a husband. Maybe you buried a child. Maybe you stood beside a grave and wished one more person had shown up to let you know your loved one's life mattered. Then you understand. Sometimes we attend funerals not because we knew the deceased better than everyone else. Sometimes we attend because human beings should stand with each other, one another, in moments of loss. Your presence may comfort somebody in Bobby's family. Your handshake may mean something. Your hug may mean something. Your quiet presence in a pew may mean something. Sometimes you don't need a speech. Showing up is the speech. To the former police officers, like our team leader Leslie Ashman, we call him Ashes. Rock Stevens was a part of our team too. Still alive, retired. Ruben Gunter. I particularly want to speak to former members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. I want to speak to district constables, special constables too. I want to speak to people who understand what service means. You know, what the uniform eventually comes off, the badge eventually put away. The boots eventually stop walking those streets. The radio becomes silent. The shift ends. Retirements come. And eventually, life itself ends. But service does not become meaningless because somebody retired. The years still happen. The sacrifice still happen. The work still happen. The people assisted still existed. A pension date cannot erase a lifetime. Retirement does not delete history. And that principle does go beyond Bobby Regs. I believe this is something we should remember for everyone who serves. When people spend years carrying responsibilities for their country, we should remember them while they are alive. And we should honor their memory when they are gone. So, to the serving officers and former officers who are able to make it, come and stand with one of your own. Not because everything in policing is perfect. It isn't. You have heard me criticize wrongdoing of cops. You know I don't like thieving police officers, and they don't like me, and I don't care. You can't be a police and a thief. That's like water and oil. You give the force a bad name and other police officers bad name. Don't tell me say I'm a bad police, but I'm a thief, I'm a criminal. Bobby wasn't. He was a police officer. And his children and family members and those who have known him must feel proud to know that this cop wasn't a thief. You heard me. Insist that police officers must be accountable. But accountability and appreciation are not opposites. We can condemn misconduct while still honoring honorable service. In fact, that is exactly what integrity demands. When somebody does wrong, say they did wrong. When somebody serves, say they serve. And Bobby Reds serve. When I look at some of these whole photographs now, I almost have to smile. And smile through the sadness. Two young men, young faces, energetic, zealots, young bodies, young dreams. We didn't know exactly where life would eventually take us. We didn't know that decades later, I would be sitting in America speaking through a camera or a mic to thousands of people about his funeral. Life doesn't show you the complete map. You simply start walking. And somewhere along the journey, Bobby Reds and I became part of each other's story. And there was a period when the communities we work in were facing serious crime problems. Policing was difficult. Resources were not always what officers wanted them to be. Yet, people still had to get up and go to work. People still needed protection, and we provided that. Communities still needed officers willing to enter places others were afraid to enter. It was us. Why police started to enter lanes off Waltham Park Road and other lanes, because they had ambushed police officers and shot them up, including Ruben Gunter. And we decided that no criminals behind any zinc fence should make police officers fear them. They are the one who must live in fear. And we stated that if you shot one of us through a zinc fence, the only place for you, we will make sure we reciprocate it. And it worked. And we worked. One of the things I have repeatedly spoken about is the early bicycle policing initiative that Bobby Reds and I were involved in. Today, somebody can see officers on bicycles and think, well, that's ordinary. But many things that later become ordinary began because somebody somewhere was willing to try something different. This is a part of the legacy I associated with Bobby Reds. Finding a way to police communities, being visible, being accessible, going where people were, trying something, doing something, serving. And there are people alive today who will never know the names of everybody who contributed to ideas that eventually became part of policing. That's life. Sometimes your contribution becomes famous while your name does not. But lack of fame does not mean lack of value. And I want young people listening to understand that. Do good work even when nobody's clapping or watching. And that's what we did. Serve even when nobody is posting your picture. At the time, there was no WhatsApp, no YouTube, no Instagram. Help somebody, even if nobody uploads the video. Your contribution matters, whether the world recognizes it immediately or not. Don't wait until people die. And Bobby Red's death has caused me to think deeply about something else. We need to appreciate with people before the funeral. We have a terrible habit sometimes as human beings. A person is alive and nobody calls. A person is alive and nobody visits. A person is alive and nobody tells them thank you. Then they die. Suddenly, everybody has paragraphs. Everybody has photographs. Everybody remembers everything. The flowers come when the person can no longer smell them. The speeches come when the person can no longer hear them. Let Bobby Red's funeral teach all of us something. When this funeral is finished, go home and call somebody you appreciate. Call an old co-worker. Call your former partner. Call your mother, if she's alive. Call your father, if he's alive. Call your teacher who helped you. As for me, my teacher was Miss Dunkley, Mrs. Oldness. Not related to the Prime Minister, I don't think so. I don't know. Mrs. Oldness, who used to teach me. That teacher who saw my potential as a youth from the inner city. who did not want to go in lesson class, but she made sure, as I says, sometimes people see things in you that you have never seen in yourself. Call somebody you have been putting off calling. Tell them what they mean to you while they can answer. Because death teaches us a painful lesson. Tomorrow is promised to none of us. Receive. Tomorrow is a promise none of us receive. To the people of the communities where we serve, Kingston 11, Kingston 13, Kingston 20. I also want to speak directly to the residents from communities where Bobby Reds worked. Some of you are older now. Some of you are poor. Because majority of the people in our community where we serve were poor people. And the thing is that what failed them was that they, although at times to talk to some youths, let them know that the only way to get out of the ghetto was through education, not through crime. Some of you were young when we were young. Some people listening may have parents who remember us better than they do. And that itself is something. When a name passes from one generation to another, you realize the impact of community policing. Maybe your mother told you about Bobby Reds. Maybe your father remembers him. Maybe somebody remembers seeing us on the road. Kingston 13. Oh, that's where we have some of the most, experiences. Yes, in the 13 and 11. Maybe somebody remembers an investigation. Maybe somebody remembers a conversation. Maybe somebody remembers simply seeing officers who were present. If you have a positive memory of Bobby Reds, bring that memory with you Thursday. You don't need money. You don't need status. You don't need a title. Bring yourself. Bring your respect to show that you have respected this man because he had made your community make you feel safe. Even at nights when we should be home, we were on the streets. Even walking in Cockburn Pen. We can tell you so many things too. Bring your respect. Bring your gratitude. Sometimes the greatest tribute we can give a person is simply to demonstrate that their life left footprints. His family should see that he mattered. Think about Bobby Red's family. They knew the private Bobby Reds. We knew the public service Bobby Reds. Families make sacrifices when somebody serves. When an officer is working, somebody at home is waiting. We work at least 96 hours every week, sometimes more. When an officer works long hours, a family share those hours indirectly. When it rains, we were out there in the rain along Spanish Town Road when it flooded, Marcus Garvey Drive, to make sure that the commuters were safe. And robbers who want to rob them during the rain, they knew that we were somewhere out there in the rain too. When that person comes home tired, the family sees what the public doesn't. When that person is in danger, a family carries fear that the public may never know. So this funeral isn't merely about Bobby Reds. It is about standing beside the people who loved him most. Imagine what it means to a family to walk into a church and see people filling seats because their loved ones' life mattered. That is powerful. That is something no plaque can fully reproduce. No certificate can reproduce it. No social media post can reproduce it. Human beings showing up for one another. That is something different. That is not about politics. And I want to say something clearly. Leave politics outside. PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, JLP, independent, whatever you support. Thursday is not a campaign day. That does not ask who you voted for. A grave does not have a political constituency. Grave does not wear orange. Grave does not wear green. On Thursday we come as human beings. We come as Jamaicans. We come as co-workers. We come as friends. We come as family. We come as people recognizing another person's life. If Jamaica wants unity, these are the moments when we practice it. Unity is easy to preach. It's harder to live. This is an opportunity to live it. To the young police officers watching this video, you may not know Bobby Reds. You may have entered the force decades after he did. But one day, if God permits, you will become a veteran. You will become the veteran. One day you will look at photographs of yourself and know how to recognize the young officer looking back. One day, somebody younger will be wearing the uniform, replacing you. One day your stories will become history. What do you want them to say about you? What do you want them to say about you? That is a question every public servant should ask. Not how much power did you have, not how many people feared me, not how important was my rank, but did I leave something useful behind? Because rank expires, authority expires, titles expires, but character travels further, service travels further. The way you treated people becomes part of your legacy. So, if you come Thursday, don't simply come to bury Bobby Reds. Come to learn something from his journey. My own goodbye. I know I want to speak personally. Bobby, my partner, my brother, my friend. There are some things I wish I could say to you face to face. There are some memories I wish I could sit down and laugh about one more time. There are some stories only you and I could tell properly. Those things stay with us forever. And life took me from Jamaica. Years passed. Circumstances changed. But time and distance cannot erase certain bonds. People hear the name Porter today. People know Jamaica Young Police Channel on YouTube. People hear the stories, but behind every person whose name become known are people who stood beside them when nobody knew what the future would become. Bobby Reds was one of those person, or one of those people in my life, and I will never pretend otherwise. If you saw good work that I did during those years, understand that policing is really one man's accomplishment. People work beside you, people back you up, people contribute, people share risk. One thing with Bobby, it doesn't matter what the situation or dire it is, you can bet your life Bobby's not going to run from a gun battle. He's going to stay with you to the end. And Bobby Reds was there. That's mattered to me. So when I said my partner, my brother, my friend, those are not words written for a thumbnail. I mean them. And losing people who walk beside you in your younger years remind you that your own clock is moving too. None of us are getting another childhood. None of us are getting another youth. None of us are getting yesterday back. It's gone. All we control is what we do with the time remaining. Why I want you there. Why I'm making such a strong appeal for attendance. Because I don't want Bobby Red's final journey to be silent. I want his family to look around and see faces. I want former colleagues there. I want community members there. I want people who respect service there. I want young officers there. I want older officers there. I want civilians there. Not to create a spectacle, to create a testimony. A testimony that Jamaica can still say thank you. A testimony that people who serve are not forgotten when the uniform comes off. A testimony that friendship means something. A testimony that loyalty does not expire at death. A testimony that a man's contribution is bigger than his rank. And a testimony that when one of our own reaches the end of the road, we can stand together and say, you did not walk this earth unnoticed. The empty seat, there's going to be an empty place after Thursday. That's what funeral leave behind, an empty chair. A telephone number nobody answers. A photograph, a memory, a name spoken in the past tense. And everybody who has lost somebody knows the strange reality of that. The world keeps moving. Cars continue driving. People go to work. Stores open. Children play. Television continues. And yet, for one family, the world has changed permanently. That's grief. So if you are able to come, don't underestimate your presence. Maybe Bobby's family won't know every person. That's okay. You know why you came? And God knows why you came. What I want Thursday to look like, I want Thursday to be dignified, respectful, peaceful, full of gratitude. I want us to tell stories. I want us to remember the younger Bobby Reds. I want us to remember the officer, the partner, the friend, the family man, the Jamaican, the patriot. I want those who knew him to remember, and those who didn't know him to learn that he was there, that he lived, that he served, that he mattered. And when the service concludes and the journey continues towards his final resting place at Dovecot Memorial Park, let every step carry the same message. Thank you. Thanks for your service, Bobby Reds. Thanks for your friendship, Bobby Reds. Thank you for your memories, Bobby Reds. Thank you for the work, Bobby Reds. Thank you for walking beside us, Bobby Reds. So Jamaica, here's my request. Thursday, August 20th, 2026, market 11 a.m. Life Center Tabernacle, Church of God of Prophecy, Garden Pen, Spanish Town. If your health allows it, if your work allows it, if your circumstances allowed it, come. I'm not asking anybody to put themselves in hardship. I'm not asking anybody who cannot travel to feel guilty. If you cannot attend, send your flowers, send your condolences, speak his name, share a memory. But those of you who can come, please don't say somebody else will go. You are somebody else to somebody else. Every crowd is made up of individuals who decided to show up. Thursday will be difficult because this is one final walk. I know that because there comes a moment at every funeral when everything becomes real. The final prayer, the final viewing, the closing of the casket, the movement towards the cemetery, and eventually the moment when you realize this is goodbye. Not see you next week. Not call me later. Goodbye. And when that moments come, I want to look around to see a community surrounding Bobby Reds. Not because he was perfect. None of us are. Not because he was famous. Fame is not the measure of a man's life, but because he served. He served the Jamaican people. Because he worked for the Jamaican people. Because he contributed to the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And he had left a legacy. A district constable. A district constable left an indelible mark on the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Because he loved and was loved. Because his life intersected with ours. And because gratitude should not disappear when somebody dies. Bobby Reds, you and I walked some roads together. We saw things together. We experienced things together. We laughed. We worked. We served. Life eventually carried us in different directions. But brotherhood does not require two people to stand in the same place forever. Sometimes brotherhood simply means that decades later, when one reaches the end of the road, the other can still stand up and say, that man mattered to me. And Bobby Reds, you matter to me. You still do. So to everybody watching, help me give my partner, my friend, my brother, the farewell he deserves. Come help his family carry this moment. Come help former colleagues remember. Come help Jamaica say thank you. Come help us demonstrate that service is remembered. And when we gathered Thursday, let there be one message stronger than all the others. Bobby Reds, he served Jamaica. No, we say goodbye. Rest well, Sylford Bobby Reds Williams. Rest well, my partner. Rest well, my brother. Rest well, my friend. Your shift is over, but your legacy remains. And as long as those of us who knew you continue telling your story, Bobby Reds will not be forgotten. Thursday, August 20th, 2026, 11 a.m. Live Center, Tabernacle, Church of God of Prophecy, Garden Pen, St. Catherine. Come and walk with Bobby Reds one final time. And those of you who have never seen me in the flesh, you will see me this Thursday. Have yourself a beautiful day. Jamaica Young Police Channel out.